Hey there, everyone. Good morning. How are you all doing? I hope everyone is well. We are here once again doing the Course in Miracles lessons, and today's lesson is lesson 71. So let's get right on it. Only God's plan for salvation will work. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposite to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego's is to be damned. This sounds preposterous, of course, yet after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it may be, you do believe in it. The ego's plan for salvation centers around holding grievances. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently in some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside of yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. The change of mind necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. The role assigned to your own mind is in this plan then is simply to determine what other than itself must change if you are to be saved. According to this insane plan and perceived source of salvation is accepted provided that it will not work. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue. For the illusion persists that although this hope has always failed, there is still grounds for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will yet serve better. Another situation will yet offer success. Such is the ego's plan for your salvation. Surely you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine. Seek, but do not find. For what could more surely guarantee that you will not find salvation than to characterize all your efforts in searching for it where it is not? God's plan for salvation works simply because by following his direction, you seek for salvation where it is. But if you are to succeed, as God promises you will, you must be willing to seek there only. Otherwise, your purpose is divided, and you will always attempt to follow two plans for salvation that are diametrically opposed in all ways. The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. How can you escape all this? Very simply. The idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for salvation will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you. His is the only plan that is certain in its outcome. His is the only plan that must succeed. Let us practice recognizing this certainty today, and let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seems to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Salvation must be yours because of his plan, which cannot fail. Begin the 2 longer practice periods today by thinking about today's idea and realizing that it contains 2 parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. God's plan for your salvation will work, and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. Do not allow yourself to become repeated that. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part. It is inherent in the first. Maybe something was telling me to repeat that. And in the first is your full release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led you to depression and anger, but God's plan will succeed. It will lead you to release and to joy. Remembering this, let us devote the remainder of the extended practice periods to asking God to reveal his plan to us. Ask him very specifically, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? Give him full charge of the rest of this practice period and let him tell you what needs to be done by you in his plan for your salvation. He will answer in proportion to your willingness to hear. Refuse not to hear his voice. The very fact that you are willing and doing the exercises proves that you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to God's answer. In the shorter practice periods, tell yourself often that God's plan for salvation and only his will work. Be alert to all temptation to hold grievances today and respond to them with this form of today's idea. Holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his plan will work. Try to remember today's idea some 6 or 7 times an hour. There could be no better way to spend a half a minute or less than to remember the source of your salvation and to see it where it is. All right. So let's repeat the idea for today. Only God's plan for salvation will work. So let's dwell on that a little bit. The reality of what our situation here on earth is that we continuously look for joy and happiness and salvation outside of ourselves. We look for it in people, in situations, in experiences, in so many different things that are outside of ourselves. We forget to look inward and realize that our happiness and our true joy and the truth about who we are lies inside. And that's something that, for whatever reason, we avoid. And I guess it's like the ego says. It wants you to keep looking outside of yourself because it knows you're not going to find it. No matter how hard you try, no matter how many different experiences you put yourself in, you're not going to find that joy and that happiness that you are looking for. That lasting joy, that lasting peace, that lasting love. It's not going to be outside of yourself. Why? Because we live in a world of illusion, and everything that we look upon expires. It ends. How can you feel full joy and full happiness and knowing something is going to end? That's in the back of your mind. So truly what you're looking for is that lasting peace, that lasting love, and that lasting joy. And you're only going to find that inwards when you look at who you truly are and who you are truly connected to, which is God. So it's a realization and an accepting of that. And until you do that, any plan that you can conjure up is not going to succeed. And you're going to be in a never-ending circle trying to find happiness and joy and peace and love outside of yourself. And you're not going to find it. So, as the lesson says today, only God's plan for salvation will work. Only his plan. Get that in your mind. That only his plan. So, today's lesson is helping us try to do that. And there are, just like yesterday's lesson, there are 2 longer practice periods, and then there's the shorter ones throughout the day. So today's longer practice periods is asking us to devote some time to dwelling and thinking of his plan. And say to yourself, God, what would you have me do? God, where would you have me go? God, what would you have me say, and to whom? And then try to hear his voice. Try to hear him telling you or pushing you to do these things. Talk to someone, do something, go somewhere, say something. Whatever it is, that impulse that comes from inward, from a place of joy, from a place of happiness. whatever that is, whatever impulses you get that are from that place, do those things. They're going to make you happy. You see someone and you are encouraged to help them. Go help them. You are at a place and you're encouraged to do something, do it. You are at a place and you're encouraged to talk to someone you've never met. Talk to them, But it has to come from a place of joy and happiness. It's not something that you're controlling. It's something that you're being pushed to do. That's how God speaks to you, in little whispers. So pay attention. That's what you have to do. You got to pay attention. All right. So the longer practice period is asking us to do those type of exercise, to dwell on those ideas and think about them and then act upon them whenever the encouragement and the inspiration comes. Okay? And now the shorter practice periods are telling us to about six to 7 times an hour to remind yourself of God's plan for salvation and that that's it, the only one that will work. And then say to yourself, holding grievances is the opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his plan will work. Because we have to understand that we are still living in this world, and for some reason, we're going to find some grievance in something that occurs to us today. Whatever you are going through, you're going to find some kind of grievance because you still live in this world and you're so accustomed, and it's a habit that you have to find grievances in your life. So whenever that occurs, whenever you're tempted by that thought pattern, say to yourself this statement: holding grievances is opposite of God's plan for salvation, and only his plan will work. And repeat that at least 6 or 7 times. Keep that training of your mind to start shifting your awareness and shifting how you react to things. Okay? Try it. See what happens. I'm going to try it. So, it's a beautiful lesson, and let's hope we can all realize that only his plan will work. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. Enjoy every minute of it, and stay safe and be happy.